Alright, inside the Cape Study Session series, this is very, very raw content of me just teaching a class, covering different topics. It's not exhaustive, it doesn't follow the syllabus, it's just me answering questions about certain things and just going through certain topics, especially parts that students have problems with, right? So, this is usually for Cape students. Because some of the Cape and IT and computer science subjects overlap, I would cover content and I'll tell you, okay, this is as far as IT takes you and this is where computer science requires you to go, or this is where computer science stops and this is where IT continues. So it's for IT students and computer science students. You should know the topics because they are in the caption. So enjoy them and leave a comment if you want me to explain something a little more. I'll probably do another video, but these are just raw topics, just specifically for IT and computer science students because they ask for videos all the time. And well, here you go. I have a lot more like these where I go through the whole syllabus from start to finish. It's called a crash course. If you're interested in a crash course, what's up that number below here? Yeah, back to the video. Let's go! While my dog is starring in the background, I hope you don't get too distracted by the dog. Alright, so we start with SQL. SQL. Yeah. Dog, stop barking. SQL stands for structured query language. Structured query language means that it's a high-level language. Basically, all they use it to handle is it's used to query a database. So if you learn databases, which you have to do in IT Unit 2, you'll understand that you need to query a database to ask questions. A query is basically asking a question. So query, another word for query is question. Right. So what is the question I want to ask the database? Usually you have to ask the database questions or whatnot. But because it's a language, you have the ability to write things and do things, right? So I will just give you a basic breakdown of what a database looks like. A database looks something like is a table. And in the database you might have like an ID, you might have a first name, you might have a surname, and then you probably have like a age and an occupation or some kind of thing like that, right? Now inside this database, you'll have a bunch of records. So you'll have records like 001, 002, 003, Jan, Jim, and Bob, Smith, Carter, and Rogers. And the age could be 19, 17, and 18, right? So that is a database. Now, with this database, you could ask questions about the database. So you could ask the question about find the names of the people. So you could ask it in like words. Let's say the words are find the names, if only I could spell names, names of everyone 18 and over. Alright, this is what you call a normal query. So this is a query by words. So you're querying by words, find the names of people 18 and over. You would go to the database and then you would find the names of people who are, okay, this person is 18, this person is 19. What we want is to get a name, so it would be like Bob, Rogers, Jan, Smith. So our answer to the query will be Bob, Rogers, and Jan, Smith. So what we just did there was a query. We asked the question of the database, please, can you find these people for me? And then we got the answer. Now this is it. This is the answer, and this is it using normal language. Normal language is like that. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to break this down and use a particular language called SQL, structured query language. Structured query language requires us to structure these things to make sense of it. So we have some commands to learn. This is where your brain is going to start being used because you have to remember things. Now, before we could remember things, you have to actually have a table that exists. So to have a table that exists, you have to be able to create a table. So the first command we're going to learn is the create command. Now SQL is real easier. It's quite easy to learn, but usually when something is easy to learn, it's also easy to forget. So the create table command follows the following structure. Create, my R's are really not R'ing, so I'm taking a risk here by using my hands. So create table, and let's say we want to create a table called, let's say we name it students, right? So create table, and I write in the command in red, and I write in the name of the table in black, right? So create table employee. What I will do is they'll create a table called employee. So basically we're going to get this thing coming up over here, and the name of this table will be employee, and then it's expecting us to put some fields inside. They don't know what fields we're going to put inside yet, so we're just going to like put these here. But now we have to fill up this table employee with different fields or things that we expect, right? So we create table employee, and then we have to have open brackets. What are the things that we want to put inside this table? In this case, I have an ID, first name, and age, right? I'm going to name it employee. Let me name it student. Create table students. So it'll make more sense to you. Create table students. Right. Now, we want to create this table called students, and we want to correct some basic information about a student. The first thing we want to create is their ID. So we'll create ID. ID is going to be a number, so we'll name that numeric. I'll explain this to you just now. Numeric, and then we put like 3. This means create the ability to hold a field called ID, and this field is supposed to be able to hold 3 numbers. The 3 numbers could be 001, or the highest number could be 999. 999. That's what I meant to put there. Right, cool. 999. Good. So now I've created the ID by telling the database using SQL I want to create an ID, and it's supposed to be able to hold 3 characters. Great. Now the next thing I want to have is a first name. So we want to fill up this thing with a first name. How do we create a first name? A first name is usually uses a data type called varchar. So F name. The name of this is VARCHAR, varchar. And let's say your name could be no more than 50 letters. Cool, as 1. Bar comma. That now is going to allow us to create a field called first name. I put in capital letters, so I should put in capital letters here also. F name. And now it's going to be able to hold a variable set of characters. Varchar stands for variable characters. So that means I'll be able to hold Bob, and I'll also be able to hold, I don't know, somebody whose name is blah 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 up to 50 characters, because I said varchar 50. So you could guess the rest. If our first name, I should have surname, so we'll have S name, and we will call that varchar also, variable character 50. Boom. And let's say we need to collect your age. Age will be numeric, so age, we'll put numeric. No, numeric is not numeric, and then 50. Cool. From there, I have to put closing brackets that will match this other bracket. So I'll show you the open brackets and the closed bracket here. We have this open bracket has to match that closing bracket, and then you put a semicolon, because at the end of the day, it's still code. SQL is still a language. It's still you coding something, right? So that's going to create this table. So the create table function, or the create table way of doing things, that is there, right? Now, there are different variable types that you could use. And the variable types that you could use, variable types are varchar, variable character. You have normal character, which is like just a normal word. Yeah, variable character tells you the size that you want to put it, and normal character will give you up to 255 bytes or some kind of thing like that. Not really, not too much. They don't really ask you any questions about that, as far as I know. Then you have numeric. This size here is the size that you want the field to have, because you could change the field size. Then you have date. You could create a field for date, and then you could create a field for number. a number will have a size and then the decimals. So for example, you could say number 32. That means you could be able to hold 999.99. 3 there and 2 there. Same concept for the others, right? So you could have like name 10. That means you'll be able to hold a name with 10 letters inside of it. Right? So that is the create table function. After you create the table, now the next thing I need to be able to do is you need to insert into the table. So our next function in SQL is insert into. Yeah. So we want to insert into the name of the table. It follows a particular pattern. Insert into students. So you're saying which table you want to insert information into. You want to insert it into the students table. Now, we know that the students table only has a few things inside of it, which is an ID, a first name, a surname, and an age. From that now, we're going to we're going to figure out where we want to insert the information into. So insert into the students table, and now we're going to say, here are the things that we want to insert. We want to insert an ID, we want to insert a first name, we want to insert a surname, and we want to insert an age. That will tell the computer or the compiler, whatever it is you're talking to, whichever way you're doing it. I want to insert an ID, a first name, a surname, and age into this table. So it kind of basically preps the table to say, okay, these are the fields that the information is going into. What are the values that I want to put inside? Now this is where it gets a little tricky, because you have to say what you want to put inside in the exact order that you put it in the first time. So insert into the students table the values. ID, we will put 004. Yeah, insert ID 004. Quotation marks, Billy. Quotation marks, no, single quotes, my bad. Billy, Jean. Oh, I keep putting double quotes because I think I'm accustomed to C programming here. Billy Jean, and then age, I don't know, 21. Cool. I'll put a semicolon now. Say, cool, I'm finished with the statement. It's kind of like normal programming. When you're done, you pass semicolon to say that you're finished with the statement, right? Now that I'm finished with the statement, this now is going to create a new row in this table. So I'll use back the same table over here. Let me just bring it down here. Right, so this said students table. I'm going to take the exact thing from here, bring him down like about here, so yeah. Right, so once I say the insert into, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert into this table at the bottom in the field ID. So ID will match to 004. First name will match to Billy. Surname will match to Jean, and age will match to 21. So it's going to be 004, Billy, Jean, 21. So that's insert into. I inserted it into the table. Alright, cool. And after insert values, your next job is to update a value. So to update a value, your next statement is update. Update what? What do you want to update? We want to update the students table. Update the said students table. But where are the things that we want to update? We want to update the field. So the syntax for update is update, set. So update, set. What do we want to update? We want to change somebody's age. So let's say the person that we just put in, Billie Jean, who's 21. Their age is right, supposed to be 22. So we want to set age, age, AGE equals 22, where something. Now the where part is to tell you which one of the ages you want to update. We want to update in the students table, change the age to 22, where ID is equal to 004, semicolon. That means look inside this table, find where the ID is 004, and go to the field called age and change it to 22. So now, technically speaking, what's supposed to happen is that this table is supposed to be updated to 22. 2, because we just said update that table with students, right? Now, once you say update and you have the information inside it, that's all. So you just need to know which field you want to change and how you want to update it, and you could update it at any point in time. No problems there, right? So that's updating records. After you update a record, your next job in life is to probably delete a record. So, yeah, I'm gonna put a differentiation into these statements here. So the first one is create table, all right? Then we have insert into, then we have update, all right? The next command that we need to know in SQL is delete. How do you delete a record? In order for us to delete a record, you just have to say delete from. Delete from is the keyword, so the other way in red. Right, remember putting the keywords in red so that you won't mix them up. So delete from the students table where is important, where the let's say the ID is always a good thing to use to delete, because that will be our primary key. ID is equal to 004. I'm not 100% sure if you had to put these in single quotes. I think you have to, but I can't remember. Usually numbers they don't put in quotes, but sometimes depending on the programming language, it might just kind of have that problem. Monitor DT? Yeah. Oh. There also a spot on your monitor and was wondering if your monitor like have a dead pixel. Yeah, me neither. Right, so if I delete from the student table where ID is equal to 004, what it's going to do is it's going to go to the students table and be like, oh, whose ID is 004? The ID that's 004 is this, Billie Jean. So I chose to delete from the students table Billie Jean. So what it will do is anything that is associated with 004 will just be removed. I have a lot more like these where I go through the whole syllabus from start to finish. It's called a crash course. If you're interested in a crash course, what's up that number below here? Yeah, back to the video. So Billie Jean no longer exists to us. It was a sad day. Billie was removed from the job. No, that's delete from. So we learned so far how to create a table. We learned how to insert into the table. We learned how to update the table. And we learned how to delete from the table. Those are basic records that you need to know. There's also one table called drop, one command called drop, but that's real simple. Drop table students basically means delete the whole table. But the whole table does not exist anymore. So if I choose drop table, what will happen is the table will just go bye-bye. Like bye-bye. Table no exist anymore. Anything to do with the table has been nice. So what I'll tell you is that these are the basic commands that you need to know. But 90% of the time, I haven't seen a past paper question asking you to do this. I probably saw one past paper question asking you to do this. What past paper questions tend to ask you a lot is to do the queries. So when it comes to queries, it's a different kind of word. Queries mean that you have to use words like select from where. Now you would have seen these words before, right? You would have seen update, set, you would have seen where come up a lot. Because most of the times they'll ask you, where do you want to take it from? Where do you want to take it from, right? In this case, this is select from where. Every query that you do is going to follow that sort of pattern. So say for example, we have a table. Let me create a quick table here for you to kind of grasp the concept. So we have a table, we have ID, we have first name, we have surname, and then we have age. ID 001, 002, 003, Steve, Rogers, Forte, Jenny, Weaver, 11, Satoru, Gojo, I don't know how he is, probably like 36, maybe, right here. So this table here is going to give you the ability to search for certain things, right? So remember, you can be accessed in IT Unit 2 or Computer Science Unit 2. And if you don't understand, well, I have, there are there's a crash course that will kind of explain this in a little more detail for you. This here, just kind of running through it for revision purposes. But in the crash course, I have the actual notes and you might be able to understand it a little better. Right? And well, if you're looking for the crash course, message 3088799. That's the number there. WhatsApp, and once you WhatsApp the number, you'll get a response and you'll get the crash course, right? But that's not the point. Just if you're struggling and you're like, you never see this before in your life, and it's probably confusing to you, yeah, you probably need to get our crash course. All right, so select. So we want to select something from this table where something inside the fields of data. So let's say, for example, I want to select the first name and surname from the table called students, where age is equal to 40. So technically what I've done, I have asked the database, hi, I want the first name and surname of everybody from the students table who is equal to 40. So it'll go through anybody who is 40 years old. So who will it highlight? It will highlight for me Steve Rogers. Why? Because it was told, go through the table, students, give me the first name and surname of everybody is 40. So the output of this query is going to be Steve Rogers. Why didn't it give me the ID and all of those different things? Because all I asked for was the first name and surname. That's a basic query. So usually select from where will give you that. Now what if you wanted to sort it? You could say select from where and then say order by first name, and then it will order the list of people that you get by first name. So remember, it's going to go through the database, look for all of the information that you have, and whichever fields match it, then you'll get it. So, example, if I say if age is less than 40, watch this. If I say age less than 40, basically everybody will come up. So Steve Rogers will come up, Jenny Weaver, and Satoru Gojo. They're all going to come up. But now if I say order by first name, that means it's going to try to do the first name automatically in ascending order. So Jenny will end up having to go on top and Steve will end up coming below, because that's just how the alphabet works. So when you do a query, just remember you have to follow the pattern. Select what you want from the table. From the table I want to get from, where age is whatever, and then order by first name. That is the basics. Now, this whole thing can get thrown upside down by a particular thing called inner join. So let's say we have two tables, right? Inner join is like a whole world by itself, because you're trying to do a join in between. So inner join. So the easiest way to explain this is to give you a sort of scenario with it, right? So let's say I have a table with let's say teachers and students, right? So we have a teachers table. A teacher has an ID, first name, surname, and then a subject. Alright, a teacher could only teach one subject. Okay, cool, no problem. Alright, so you have an ID, and then the teacher is 01, first name is Jim, Carrie, and the teacher teaching math. Right? Then you have a student table. Wow, my handwriting is really bad. Just real general. So then you have a student. Yeah. You have a student table. And the student table has very similar information, which is a student ID, a first name, a surname, and then a teacher ID. TID means the teacher that they have, right? So you have a student, and the ID is, the student ID could be 007, right? 007. What you'll realize is that there is a link between the teacher ID and the ID over here, right? So there is a relationship between teacher ID here. I should use a different color. I'll use red. Yeah, teacher ID here and the ID here. So technically, if I wanted to figure out which teacher this student has, 007 has, let's say the student name is Jeremy Branch. Yeah. I could go, let me just write this out. Yeah. Chemistry. Right. I could go and I could look at teacher ID 01, go to this table, find teacher ID 01, and then realize that this person's teacher is Jim Carey and this person teaches maths. So Jeremy Branch has a teacher who is teaching them maths. That's a relationship that I could do. I could do that in my head. What if I had to write a SQL command to do that? That is where inner join comes in. The inner join is to allow you to join two tables to get information from them. So inner join looks like this. It's a normal query, so select from. So let's try to see what we want to select. We want to select the student name. So select from student dot first name and teacher, no, subject. I'm gonna see what I want to put. Yeah, what we want to use. We want to use, all right, we want to get the student name and the subject that they're doing. Yeah. So we want to get the student name and the subject that they're doing. Notice that the student table has nothing to do with the subject. All they have is a teacher ID. So we want to get the student name and the teacher dot subject. That way we'll get a list of the students and the subjects. But remember, they're from two different tables. So because they're from two different tables, one is from this table here, and the next one is on this table here. How do we get them from two tables? By one command. Because we have not created any relationship. So what we're doing is we're trying to create the relationship on the fly, like immediately, all by itself, right? So we want to get the student first name and the teacher subject. Two different tables. Notice how to put the table name first, then the let's call this thing, the field that you want to get. From which tables? That is the question. So we want to get it from the main table first. So the main table is the student table because this is the table that we starting off with. So the main table is the table that has the primary key that I want, right? So we want the student first name from the student table. Now, this is where it gets tricky because we're going to say now, how do we want to join those two tables? So we say inner join. We now have to tell the SQL command how to join the table. So we're going to say inner join the two tables. So we want to join the second table, inner join the teacher's table on, try to write this in one line because that way it makes more sense, on which is the two columns that match each other. Remember, we created a fake relationship here. Well, not fake relationship, but TID and then ID here, because the teacher ID and the ID in the teacher's table, same thing, right? Same thing. So inner join teachers on student dot TID for teacher ID equal to teachers dot ID. My dogs are barking so feverishly right now, I don't know why. So what I said is, please join for me the teacher's table. Here are the two fields. So join the teacher's table to the student table, right? Here's how I wanted to join them. I wanted to join them on the student ID, student.teacher ID, which is this field here, and then the teacher's table with teachers.id, which is here. So that means wherever there's a student ID, I needed to be able to look up that ID here so I could get the subject. Yeah. Right? So, yeah. Then, well, after that, it's kind of straightforward. What it will do is it will show me all of the names of the people and the subjects that they do. So this query will produce the following. It will say Jeremy Math. And then let's say we had another person, which will be 009 SpongeBob, and their teacher is 02. It will then say Jeremy Math and then Sponge Chemistry. Because what it was told is to give me only the student, the first name and the subject. Give me only those two things, but I needed to get it from the student table and the teacher's table. Here's how you join it. And that's how the inner joiners work. So this here is where CS Unit 2 comes in. CS Computer Science Unit 2. But over here, up to this point here, is where computer science, where IT will take you. So IT will take you through all of these basic things on top here. Create table, insert into, update, delete, drop. All of that they could ask in ComSci also. But this is where IT stops. ComSci is the only one that has the inner join in it. So learning the inner join will only be for computer science students. IT students, you will not see an inner join. If you do see an inner join, well, that'll be sad. And that there's the basics of SQL, structured query language, in a nutshell. I do invite you to ask questions if you want to. The chat is open. Let's see what's going on in chat. Good evening to you, Gio. Good evening to you, Joanna. Josh, I hope I answered your question. Hey, Faith, how are you today? Is everything good in your side of the woods? Your neck of the woods? Alright, so if you're doing IT, you don't have to learn inner join. But, I mean, it ain't that bad. Is it really that bad? Alright, so IT, focus on your stuff on the left hand side here. Be able to create a table, insert into, update, delete from, drop table, and do a query. Once you can do that, you're good. Other than that, that's really all for SQL. So, this video is brought to you by me. If you think you need more knowledge and you need more things, come back every Friday night and we'll be doing something different every Friday night. Some of it will be for ComSci Unit 1, some for ComSci Unit 2. Basically, all the CAPE topics that are difficult, that's what I'm trying to do on a Friday night. So, SQL is usually one of the difficult topics. But if you understand that, good for you, good for you. Alright, video will stay up. You could share it to people, you could come back and watch it, and you could go to your class and be like, hey, go and watch this video. You will understand everything you need to know about SQL. There are questions that could be done also, but I mean, you all probably know that you could go and find the questions in the Learn It app. So if you haven't downloaded the apps already, go download the Learn It app. The information is pinned. Yeah, all the videos inside there. And if you want to, there's a new app I have called Caribbean Study Forums, which will help you study any subject in CAPE if you want, and you can go and get information for it there. Alright, so for those of you all who came tonight, don't forget to tell other people every Friday night we're doing CAPE revision, because the CAPE students always complain that I don't do any revision for them. But hey, sometimes the numbers will be so low it's kind of hard to do CAPE revision, but I'll do it still, because the 12 of you all that stayed here, you probably learned something. You learned that you don't have to do the inner join. Alright, so I'm going there, guys. Thank you very much for your time and your intellect. I do hope that you understand SQL now. We'll see you next week Friday. Bye-bye. Oh, I forget to give you all the salt, B. Haha.